Today in Health IT, we have another interview from the CHIME Fall Forum. And what we did was a set of interviews in action, which we are really excited about. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week in Health IT, a channel dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. Again, as I said, got a great opportunity to go to San Diego, visit with some CIOs and the people that make the magic happen in healthcare and healthcare IT. And here's another one of these great interviews. All right, another interview from the floor of CHIME. We have Cherodeep Goswami, CIO for University of Wisconsin Health. You're in Madison.
That's right, sir.
Wow, congratulations. Well, we met each other. You were at BJC.
That's right.
Gosh, I just had Donna on, and I said, we met at BJC. What were you doing at BJC?
So I was one of the vice presidents at BJC. My last stint over there was leading the Epic implementation and doing some strategic planning.
Yeah, and she commented on fun it is to have an Epic implementation across two, it's an academic medical center, but across two different, I forget what she called it.
It's two different legal entities.
Two
different legal entities, the health system and the university. Washington University is the academic partner.
And doing an EMR implementation is challenging at an academic medical center, but when you add even more complexity on it, I can only
I used to have hair, as I joked, before I did that. So,
but you guys earned your stripes. You and both of you have gone on to be CIO. So tell us about the journey. How did you make that move? How did you make that decision?
Well, first I'll say BJC is a great place to work, and working with Washington University, learned a lot. And it's like they say, just like parents, raise your kids and then send them off to college for greater things. And that's how I feel I came to University of Wisconsin in Madison. So I got there in January of 2020, right before COVID came in, and thank goodness for some good coaches and mentors at BJC and other places, putting all those learnings to use every day.
Wow, so you came in, so pandemic, post-pandemic?
So technically I started Jan 6th, which is the first day that the first case of COVID actually happened in the United States. So Madison got its first case towards the end of February.
So how do you come up to speed? I mean, you come in, it's like, hey, welcome, we appreciate you coming in here, and oh, by the way, we need to prepare for this. And then, like, I assume like a month or two later, it's like, hey, everybody's going home, we need to do all these things. I mean, you don't have enough background. You really have to rely on your people, I would imagine.
So, Bill, you and I have worked before, so you know my style, It's a good thing. Every challenge is an opportunity. So when it came to the pandemic, there was no textbook written. So
right.
Nobody could tell you there's a different way of doing these things. So it actually worked out to be a blessing because, as we all know, healthcare is resistant to change. So pandemic presented that opportunity where we could just try new things without the fear of failure, knowing that the alternative was always worse. So the organization welcomed me, the thoughts. I had still have a great team to work with. So it turned out to be a very good opportunity to drive value enablement and innovation into the culture.
When I always ask CIOs, what was your 100-day plan and that kind of stuff. When we do the longer form interviews, and they share them, and a lot of them are, I try to meet and talk to everybody on my team. Were you able to do that? Were you able to make those kind of connections?
So no. I mean, that's one thing I say COVID stole from me, because I'm a very relationship-based person, and I call them meet and greets. And it's funny because even now I show appointments on my calendar that says meet and greet revision number 17, or something like that. The good thing though is we were still meeting in the first 6 or 8 weeks, so I got some time to set those relationships. But over a period of time, again, virtual meetings became efficient and more convenient in some ways.
So it's interesting because you talked about the fact that the pandemic created some interesting situations, and for you never got used to working in the office with all these people.
Not at all.
No, there's a lot of CIOs who are talking about the transition and how it's been difficult because they had one way of working and now they're doing another. You came in and had to start with pretty much a new way of working from the get-go.
Very much so. We have a pretty big building in one of the suburbs of Madison, Middleton, where it seats about 450 team members. IS is about 650. And I still go into work 3 or 4 days a week and meet a few people, but pretty much it was a ghost town. It was a ghost town.
So you're in the shadow of Epic. I assume you have some former Epic employees.
We do have some former Epic employees, and Epic in UW Health have a long relationship. In many ways, Epic was installed to build the foundation.
There's part of me that wants to ask questions, but I won't do that to you on the things. Like, do you ever like go over and just knock on Judy's door and say, hey, can you come on over? And I would imagine that has its pluses and minuses being in their backyard, but.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons I took the position over there, I talked to a few Epic leaders before I took the position, because it's also an opportunity to do some very innovative joint collaboration work. And so we are exploring and working on some of those there.
So talk to me about innovation. So you're the Chief Information Officer. How does your digital and innovation work at UW? So
again, I don't think the world has defined a very clear demarcation between the word technology and digital. I mean, everything is called digital nowadays. So I am the Chief Information Officer for the digital program. I co-lead it with a very dear close colleague of mine. She's the Chief Ambulatory Officer. So on the digital aspect, we laid out the strategy in the last 12 months. Now we're starting to implement some of the things on the digital front door side, artificial intelligence and robotics process automation and things like that. On the innovation side, it's interesting. Less known fact is UW Health also has an innovation arm or venture capital arm called ISMIS, and we have a Chief Innovation Officer over there who's also a very good partner, and I sit on the board. So as long as the three partners work together, among other things get done, it doesn't matter what the label on the piece is.
Areas for innovation?
Part of it is actually just as simple as, Jonathan Fritz, who probably everybody knows is the Chief Innovation Officer here, Jonathan and I joke, innovation is different than invention.
Right.
Innovation has to solve a problem. Innovation has to make something better. So when we think of innovation, we always look at what's the problem we're trying to solve. So again, for the rest of the other industries, it may not be innovation, but we are finding ways where we're using data as a currency. We are using information to bring down our AR days, our prior auth and pieces like that, where technology is now becoming more of a revenue generator than anything else. So that's one very simple case of innovation. In the world of artificial intelligence, we are using imaging and non-structured data, to start creating data models. So that's another case of innovation.
Anything in the area of automation?
Starting to explore, I'm assuming you mean RPAs and robotics process automation.
Sure.
We're starting to explore by choice. We are respecting the workforce shortages and all the challenges in the clinical areas. So we're starting to look at non-clinical areas. Supply chain is one, finance, HR, recruitment, which everybody is struggling to recruit right now. We're building in automated processes to reduce the turnaround times.
So what's the biggest difference between BJC and UW? I try to tell people, like, every academic medical center is a little different. Every IDN is a little different. I mean, what's the biggest difference that you found?
On a humorous note, I'll say it's a lot more colder at UW compared to BJC. Other than that, I would say one big difference that is what's typically known as the faculty practice plan at most academic medical centers. Here, the faculty practice plan is very tightly integrated with the health system. So I have responsibilities for both the systems that the faculty practice plan runs and the health systems runs, which is very different than BJC and WashU. Other than Epic, it's two totally different IT shops. So that's a big difference.
The thing I found with academic medical centers, governance has been usually wealth. In fact, I haven't thought of an area, an academic medical center I've gone into that hasn't really thought out their governance process really well. Have you found that to be?
So I would say the governance structures in my experience are well thought out of, but does it work all the time?
Right.
Totally different things. And so I'm of the philosophy that every governance structure should renew its license at the first trip. So with that in mind, we are actually recreating some of the governance
because sometimes
structures.
They keep you from getting things done.
Exactly. And so here's the thing, Bill. I mean, think about COVID and the decisions we made at 2-hour notices.
Right.
Why do we need another committee to help us make those decisions? So empower people.
I'm trying to find somebody who, look, we all experienced COVID the same way. We made decisions as quickly the same way. I'm trying to find somebody who said, yeah, look, we looked at that and said we want to be like that more. And they changed a bunch of their structure moving forward. But what I'm finding is a lot of systems are just sort of slowly leaning back into what they did before.
So I use a phrase, we're at the crossroads of nostalgia and ambition. That's pretty much what it is. We want to be different, but it's our past that keeps pulling us back. And so one of my roles in being a new leader in the organization is to be the backstopper. Yeah. Ask why. Ask why. Respect tradition, but don't go in reverse gear. No, that's a challenging job, but I'll tell you, for the right reasons, when you show it works, people start believing in it. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Chero, thank you for your time.
Always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for having me over.
Look forward to talking to you more next year.
Let's do that.
There you have it. Hope you enjoyed it. We did 10 of these interviews at the Chime Fall Forum. Hope you check back for some of those other interviews to catch what the industry insiders are saying about healthcare IT.